afford to wait. And what I said was, I'm not running because of some long-held ambition or because I think it's somehow owed to me. I'm running because of what Dr. King called the fierce urgency of now. Fierce urgency. Because I believe there's such a thing as being too late, and that hour is almost upon us. And think about it, we are in the midst of two wars. One war in Afghanistan against Al-Qaeda and the Taliban, a war that we have to win. And a second war in Iraq that should have never been authorized and should have never been waged. Just struggles overseas that are on people's minds. It's the struggles of folks here at home. And I think Doreen said it well in terms of her own life. I know she speaks for a lot of folks here in Michigan. You know, wherever I go, I talk about the need to bring about real change. Few understand the need for change more than the people of Michigan. Because while we've been talking about recession in this country for a few months now, Michigan has been living with it for a very long time. Michigan has the highest unemployment rate in the nation. Workers and communities across this state have been struggling for years with the downturn that all of America is feeling today. Now, in fairness, some of these challenges are the product of larger forces beyond the control of government. We've got globalization. We've got technological advances. We've got problems in the energy sector. But there's no doubt that the Bush economic policies have done little to help the working families of Michigan or to build a better future for America. That, in large part, is what this election in November will be about. You know, I know that during this campaign, in the primaries, there have been some worries about whether or not the Democratic Party will be divided after it's all over. There's been thinking, well, you know, are the Clinton folks going to support the Obama folks? And are the Obama folks going to get together with the Clinton folks? And let me tell you something. First of all, Senator Clinton has run an outstanding race. She is an outstanding public servant, and she and I will be working together in November. That's number one. But the other reason I know the Democratic Party will be unified is because no matter what else happens, come November, when you go into that polling place, the name George W. Bush will not be on the ballot. And I think all of us will be unified in making sure that George Bush's economic policies and George Bush's foreign policies are also not going to the White House, because unfortunately, as much as I admire John McCain, John McCain is a genuine American hero. He is running for George Bush's third term. That's why this election is going to be so important. John McCain says we've made, and this is a quote, we've made great progress economically over these past 8 years. And he's promising to do more of the same. This is what he said. He looked at Bush's economic record and he said, we've made great progress.
Where?
I don't know who he was talking to. He wasn't talking to Doreen and all her fellow union workers who had lost their jobs. He's not talking to the folks in the state of Michigan. He's not talking to the speaker. He's not talking to the 47 million people without health insurance in this country. He's not talking to the millions of additional people who have fallen into poverty while George Bush has been in office. He's not talking to you, and he's not talking to me, and that's why we can't afford to let John McCain spend 4 more years with the same economic policy. Understand, since George Bush took office, we've gone through the first period of sustained economic growth since World War II, where the average income of an American family had actually gone down by $1,000. Think about that. Even when corporate profits were up, even when the economy was growing as a whole, your average wages were going down by up to $1,000. 7 million more Americans don't have health care. 1 million more Americans are out of work. Millions of families are facing foreclosure because nobody was regulating the mortgage lending industry. You are working harder. You're working harder for less. You're paying more for everything from college tuition to health care premiums, to a gallon of milk, to a gallon of gas. Now, to me, that is not great progress. That is a cause for concern and an impetus for change. Yet Senator McCain wants to double down on the Bush economic plan, rather than reforming an unfair tax system and offering the middle class some relief. He's offering more tax loopholes for corporations and the wealthy that we just can't afford, rather than making health care affordable for every American, like I've proposed. He's offering a health care plan that puts coverage at risk and that's designed for folks who are healthy and wealthy. Rather than standing up for robust trade that works for all Americans, as I do, he's supporting more trade deals that work for Wall Street but not for Main Street. Understand, there's a reason the problems we face today are so much bigger than they were several years ago. A big part of it is that George Bush and John McCain have been so focused on pursuing a flawed and costly war in Iraq that they've lost sight of the problems that have been mounting here in Michigan and here at home. They have not been tending to the issues here in Michigan, here in Troy, here in the United States of America. Instead of working to fix our economy and lift up hard-working families, they fought to extend a war that has cost us thousands of precious lives and hundreds of billions of dollars, and that has not made us more safe. A war that strengthened our enemies and distracted us from the need to go after bin Laden and the rest of Al-Qaeda. Just to put this in perspective, for what taxpayers here in Oakland County have spent in Iraq, you could be providing health care for 90,000 people, or offering 200,000 college scholarships for Michigan students, or hiring 30,000 more elementary school teachers. That's just for the money that you have spent in Iraq. Now it seems like all Senator McCain is talking about on this campaign trail is Iraq, instead of offering real solutions to the problems that you're facing every day. Senator McCain conceded not too long ago that he didn't know too much about the economy. That's not his interest. That's not his priority. But I want you to know, Troy, Michigan, it will be my interest and it will be my priority when I'm President of the United States of America. I want an end to a war that's costing America $10 billion a month, and begin to use that money to invest in rebuilding our infrastructure, our roads, our bridges, investing in science and research, investing in a new electricity grid to get alternative energy to places that are needed, to create broadband lines so that